Welcome to the Massage Business Success Podcast. My name is Amy Bradley Radford, and I help solopreneurs just like you learn how to do it all. I teach you how to earn $60,000 a year or more at the table, while also providing you with the continuing education you need to be successful without burning yourself out. I'm a board-certified massage therapist and have been practicing massage therapy for over 30 years, and I'm a nationally approved continuing education provider for over 20 years. I had my monthly business column in Massage Magazine called Advanced Business Strategy for many years, where I was able to share all kinds of tips about how to have a successful business with business owners just like you. I have also developed the Pain Patterns and Solutions modality, where we learn how to apply non-inflammatory therapeutic massage techniques to create real pain relief that lasts. Now, if you're ready to help your clients and make money at the same time, let's dive in. Well, welcome everybody back to our podcast, Massage Business Success. I'm Amy Bradley Radford, and today, again, we have Miss Paige in the studio.
Hello. Happy to be back as always.
Oh, I love our conversations, Paige. We have such amazing, how do I want to say that? Our brains just click together.
They do.
And I love it when we get to sit down and just really hash out some common problems and just things that massage therapists go through.
Yeah, it's nice to have a sounding board when we chat because it's validating. It's just I don't know a ton of massage therapists in my life, and so when we get together, it's always fun to chat. And I don't know. No, I'm not alone in some of these things.
You know, that's funny that you say not alone, because massage therapy is kind of a lonely profession. I mean, if you're a solopreneur massage therapist, it's you and the next person who gets on your table every day. So it's nice. And I have to say, after being in this for as many years as I have, you don't get to see a lot of massage therapists. We don't get together for Christmas parties.
Nope.
We really don't. So this is fun to sit down and chit chat. So today's topic of conversation is burnout. And you know, burnout is in my opinion, a multifaceted, overused term to describe a feeling. And it's a feeling that's a jumble of a lot of different things all put together. But I would have to say that about 80% of my coaching calls are people who are trying to figure out how to keep going. Why are they burned out? Why do I feel this way? How do I change these things? And when you sit down and talk to them, they can describe a lot of problems, and a lot of times they're all the same. But what they're trying to do is to figure out how to get past it in their career and reignite the passion for their job, or to love massage therapy again. They're trying to figure out how to get back there again. And it's always an interesting journey to come out of burnout and go back into doing what you love. And so that's what we're going to kind of talk about a little bit today. So Paige, I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever been burned out?
Oh, yes. Who hasn't been?
We all have in various capacities. But what's one particular instance where, like, job related, employment related, that you felt burned out? What happened? How did you get there?
Oof, how did I get there? I almost hate saying it, but it's the classic, like, overwork and underpaid. This first instance, I was working my 9 to 5, and it was the holiday season, and I was working 12 hours a day, if not more. It was a really, really wild time, and I did not feel appreciated, and I definitely did not get paid nearly enough, right? Like, I didn't feel like I was being valued, and I didn't love what I was doing at that point because it was too much. And that was ultimately what got me there. It was this slow buildup of taking more on and working a little bit more and working a little bit more with no recognition, no appreciation, expecting me to work more and more. And then all of a sudden, it's the end of the year, we have this massive program that we're doing, and it's a lot. And then towards the end, you might get like a little thank you, but it doesn't fill my cup back up, right? So what led it there is it was gradual increases of being overworked, but then underpaid because I didn't feel like I was being valued.
You know, it's so fascinating that you brought that up, because that's true burnout right there. Because that's an employed position you were in that you felt that in.
Yeah, 100%. I was employed.
So all of the people I talk to that are burnout that are self-employed are doing it to themselves. Because they're the ones who are running their business that are undervaluing and overworking themselves. And so it's almost like you have this horrible boss that you have to go work for.
It's so true. It's so true. You're even determining your own wages. Like, you determine what you're paying yourself, and you're still getting burned out.
You're still getting burned out. I know. Isn't it just fascinating? You know, when I talk to people about this, you know, because I mostly work like with business coaching, solopreneur massage therapist. That's my niche, whatever you want to call it. That's my favorite person, because I want to take that person and show them how to really organize and structure their business so that it supports them for the rest of their life and their career, and they can make a career out of this. And there's lots of pieces and moving parts to that all the time that have to do with systems and creating things that support you and not overworking yourself for your boss. I tell people all the time, you know, if I'm like off in the middle of the day and they're like, well, don't you have like work you need to do? Well, my boss isn't going to fire me if I show up late for work, because it's me. I'm not going to fire myself. But it's such a funny concept to really wrap your brain around, the fact that you're burned out because you're overworked and you're underpaid, but you're the one that's actually in control of that, but you're not controlling it.
Yeah.
And there's burnout, and it's such a hard thing to kind of wrap your brain around. And for those of you that have been self-employed for a long time, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. You've been here, and you've had to find a way out of it. But your business is always a mirror of you.
Ooh.
Ooh.
You want to elaborate on that one?
If you don't hold boundaries, then your business will run all over you. If you don't charge more, then your business will suck you dry. If you don't set the schedule and stick to it, then your business is going to take all your time. It is a mirror of everything you do. So I'm going to back up just a little bit and tell you about the first time I got burned out.
Yeah.
You know, because people have asked me how I've stayed in massage therapy for, I say it on every podcast, over 30 years. I'm heading into 32 years now.
But truly, it's impressive. I think the average tenure is what, a few years, maybe 5?
5. 5 is the average.
Yeah.
And do you know why it's 5? Because they get burnt out. And we're going to talk about
Yeah.
that. I mean, burnout occurs physically too, but there's all these facets that go into it. But, so I have quit massage 3 times. And gone back 3 times. Because it's in my heart and my soul. It's who I am.
Yeah.
It truly is. So the first time I quit business was in about my 3rd year. And I got busy really fast. And when I got out of school, the average going rate for a massage, an hour-long massage, was $25. And you're probably thinking, wow, Amy, did you get out in 1960? No, this was 1991. But that still was not a lot of money to be making for massage therapy, because I was running a business off of that. So in order to make enough money to pay my bills, pay back my student loans, you know, all those sorts of things, I was averaging 35 to 40 sessions a week. Yeah, you can do the math.
That's insane. That is insanity.
And you could do the laundry too. That really sucked. But it was 8 sessions a day.
That's so unhealthy. That is so beyond unhealthy.
You're right. And about 3 years into it, I was injured, sick all the time, exhausted, couldn't maintain my times, couldn't keep track of clients, double booking clients. I couldn't stay on top of, I was done. I was so fried. And I let my clients know. It was like I just made a decision one day that I was not going back to work. And like a week later, I told everybody I was quitting. And I sent everybody a letter in the mail, because we didn't have text messages back then. Don't laugh at me. And I made phone calls, you know, actual do with a rotary phone. I'm just kidding. There's no rotary phone. But, and I let everybody know I was quitting, and I was sorry. And here's some people I referred him to, and I was done. I was not going back. And I had saved enough money to take a break, you know, like a month before I had to go find another job. Find something to do, maybe go back to school. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew I could not stand to touch one more person again. I just couldn't do it. I didn't want to touch anybody. And about 4 weeks into it, I went back to work. If you could see the look on Paige's face, she's like, are you serious, Amy? Yeah, I confused my clients too. And I went back to work, and several of them said, "Oh, you were burnt out, weren't you?" And I said, "Yeah, I was. I needed a break. I was working every possible minute I could. I was taking every possible client I could. I was running my business like I did in the beginning, like I didn't have enough clients, and I had so many clients I couldn't breathe." And I learned a very important lesson, and that was, you have to have these boundaries, and you have to maintain these boundaries. And I didn't quite understand what all of those were going to be, but the very first one was I raised my prices $10, $35 an hour. And I didn't give any more discounts. I didn't do coupons. And I cut my clientele back to about 25 people a week. 5 people, 5 days a week. And I was comfortable there. And that fit my body. It fit what I could do. It fit what I could manage. It allowed me to have a personal life. And it allowed me to afford what I was doing. And I played with these numbers for a while. What I charged, how many hours I worked, how it fit into my personal life, until I maintained this feeling of happiness, really. And when I started to feel undervalued, or I started to feel like, oh, I don't want to work on anybody anymore, it was time to raise my prices or cut more people out. Yep. And a lot of times that happened together. I'd raise my prices and cut out a couple more people a week because we have to make a certain amount of money.
Yep.
So that was my first experience with burnout.
Question. When you did raise your rates by $10, because back then it's actually quite a hefty jump, did you lose very many clients?
Thankfully, yes. Because, I think one of the hardest things in any service industry, but even in ours, is to understand your value. And we never place value on experience correctly. And so when I would raise my prices because I would start to feel burnout again, it was okay to let a few people go. It was okay to let a few people go, or create the space for people who appreciated me more to come back in. So yes, thankfully, yes.
What's also nice is when those people leave, it also opens up room for the people who are ready and willing to pay you that much to come in. Mm-hmm. It's also a nice opens the door for more people. Because I think that's what a lot of people have a hard time believing, is they raise their rates and they'll lose a clientele. But I will promise you, there are a lot of people out there, I don't care what town you live in, that are willing to pay a lot of money for a massage. A lot. It's true. I didn't believe that for a long time. Even in my town, I'm like, there's people that pay so much money. I would have clients who would go on cruises, for example. And at the time I was charging $55 an hour, and they're like, I went on a cruise and I paid $120 for this massage, or they're at some luxury resort, and they're like, it was terrible. And I think their exact words were, I'll never cheat on you again.
Oh my gosh, I've heard that saying. I will never cheat on you again.
But the point being is, it's okay. It's no, when you raise your rates, you will lose some people. And that's okay, because you will gain people who are willing to pay those prices and more.
Yes, and one of the things I've talked about in podcasts or classes about how to raise your prices, which is probably the second reason why people contact me, is, and it kind of fits into burnout, is how I don't know how to raise my prices, is this fear that if they raise their prices, they're going to have to go all the way back to the beginning and start all the way over. And you know what? That's scary. I don't know about you, but when I started out, I didn't know how to find clients. And so every single client that walked through my door, I worked really hard for every one of those. And I didn't want to lose them because I was afraid to go back to the way, how that scarcity mindset in the beginning.
The same thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it doesn't happen. It doesn't. And the people that fall away are typically your naughty clients. Can I say naughty? They're naughty.
That is actually a really good point.
They're the ones that, expect more for less, or push you on your time boundaries, or want you to do that weekend appointment you don't want to do. It's actually those people that they can go find somebody else.
I never realized that, but that's so true.
I know. I call them naughty clients, like naughty little children. They push your boundaries all the time. But those are the first ones to leave, so it's okay. Thankfully, yes, they left. And you have, and when you create the space, then it gets filled.
Yep.
By somebody else.
Yep, it does. Indeed.
So the second time I got burned out, I was actually, I had been asked to help a former student start up a school in a different town. And I really dedicated my life into starting this school. I mean, really dedicated my life, like 70 hours a week of my life.
That's
and I did
insane.
this. It was insane. And I did this, I was, I've said this before, I was raised by an entrepreneur. And so my work ethic is kind of all-encompassing at times. I can work a lot, and I actually like to work. I would choose to work over play sometimes, but this was a little ridiculous.
I would say.
So I was a single mom raising a child, and I would get up at 3 and 4 in the morning and put my lessons together, spend all this time on the computer, get my kid ready to go to school, go down, run the school, teach in the afternoon, work until the last possible minute I could, and go pick up my son from daycare, and then be the mom, and then do it all over again. And I worked Saturdays too because we had clinics, and I hit about 2.5 years of that, and I couldn't do anymore. And it was the same scenario as the first time. It was just in a different setting. And I learned something extra, and I quit, and I went home and I did 25 massages a week and thought life was grand. Like, oh my gosh, this is so much easier than what I was doing. But when I adjusted to that, it was too many people. But still, it was so much easier than what I was doing. And, I realized after that second time of really being burned out that it was my responsibility to not get there. And how was I going to not work so much to the point where I couldn't even physically, mentally, or emotionally function anymore? And how do you actually create the boundaries in your life? What are the boundaries? I mean, I can say don't work as much, but is that really the answer?
Nope.
It's not. No, there are some things to discuss, Paige. There are some things to discuss about awareness and how to know when you're headed out of balance and how to bring yourself back into balance, and what we're really looking to do as, and I'll just back it up to solopreneur massage therapist.
Yeah, well, something I want to bring up though is it's not necessarily how much you're working to get burnt out.
True.
So when I look back on my life, truly some of the happiest times of my life was when I was working full time. I was running my massage business on the side, and I was teaching group fitness as well. So I worked an insane amount of hours, but I was so happy because I loved what I was doing, right? My 9-to-5 job didn't pay me a lot, but my massage was supplemental income, and I loved massaging. Teaching group fitness didn't make a lot, but I loved that. So I had a few key things in my life that were really fun and enjoyable to me. And then on the weekends, I made sure I played enough, or I'd go have some drinks with the friends on the weekend or a movie night, whatever. I made sure that I was filling my own cup. So while I was working 60 plus hours a week, I actually wasn't burnt out. Everyone might have thought I was insane, but I loved it. I was thriving. So it's not necessarily how much you work, it's how much of your life are you really enjoying, and is it in balance for yourself, whatever you want to deem as in balance.
Correct. It's an unbalanced life.
Yeah.
So burnout affects people differently for different reasons. And I think that's kind of what I want to jump on today, is to kind of talk about some of those reasons and bring some life experience from Paige and Amy into the, podcast studio about how do you really be a massage therapist for a long time.
That's one thing I think is really beautiful about you, actually. And I had never, ever thought through, nor did I hear anybody ever talk to me about how do you maintain massaging literally as a career for years and years to come. No one teaches that. I went to an incredible school and I had incredible teachers, and I was never taught that. I was never taught to look 10 years down the road. How do you get there and still be massaging and still have your body be fine and you still enjoy it? That thought had never even crossed my mind until I met you. And this is not an intentional plug, but you'd mentioned you had a class just in conversation, and it clicked. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, that's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. You would teach people how to do that, because when you go into being a massage therapist, it's a passion. you don't just go in to be a massage therapist because you want it for the money. It's a passion job that you have. And that's what makes you so successful, is you are passionate about it. And to actually be able to go in and say, okay, how is this sustainable? How do I truly love my job for years and years to come? That is priceless.
And I'll give you the answer to that. It changes. And you change with it. Your passion changes. I went from wanting just this amazing practice of people and really refining and honing my skills to wanting to become a teacher and still maintaining a practice and honing my skills, to wanting to achieve higher levels of efficiency at the table when it came to pain management and wanting to help my clients. I mean, it evolved, but I kept looking at the next step and making sure that I had good boundaries that allowed me to want to continue to do that to the next step.
I think boundaries is arguably the most important thing when it comes to not being burnt out. When you can set boundaries, let's say it's with your schedule, right? So when I was first massaging, for quite a while I did this, people wanted to massage and I'd put them literally anywhere in my week. And I wasn't valuing my own time. I wasn't respecting myself with it. And when I dictated, I massage this day and this day from these times, and whatever weekend schedule I dictated at the time, I was booked beyond belief. It was so empowering to tell people, no, I actually can't fit you in this week. And that's okay to say. It changes the dynamic. You're not getting walked all over. They actually respect you when you say, I'm sorry, I can't get you in this week, but I can get you in this time. And truly, there's times where I did not have wiggle room in my schedule. Amy will teach that. I didn't do that. Unfortunately, it's definitely a big regret of mine. And I would actually say, I recommend this person. I would refer them out to someone if they needed in quicker. I trust that the people that need me, they will be with me. And it's okay to send them out one time. I trust that. I wasn't worried about it. But truly, it's once you set boundaries, whether it be with your time, so many things go into that. But I think that's one of the biggest pieces when it comes to burnout, is what boundaries do you set yourself, and respecting the boundaries.
Yeah, you respecting your own boundaries.
Yeah, it's all on you. Once again, it's all on you.
It's that mirror, honey. And it kind of sucks sometimes, because when you find yourself burned out, all you can do is look in the mirror and go, yep, I did it to myself. I did it again. And you're going to do it again. But I want to talk a little bit about boundaries, because boundaries is a broad topic. And when we say boundaries, people are like, yeah, boundaries. Let's talk about the specifics. Let's talk about the ones that I see are the most commonly crossed boundaries, and why people get to this place, and then why they call me for a coaching session of, I need help. I don't know how to change this. I don't know how to make this work for me. And I'm not going to drop let me say this. I've watched a lot of fully booked, well-paid massage therapists walk away from an amazing business to go work somewhere for a paycheck because they can't control their business anymore, and it is controlling them. And they are so burned out, and they don't know how to change it. And they don't talk about that in school either, Paige. Mm-mm. How do you back up that runaway train and get it going in the other direction so that you can stay in it and continue to make the money you make and do well? How do you do that?
$1 million question.
Yeah, that is $1 million. I don't get paid $1 million to answer that question. But that's the question I get a lot of times when I get coaching calls. So let's just talk about the first one. The very first one kind of goes with another podcast I had about valuing yourself. So the number one problem with burnout is you are undervaluing yourself as a massage therapist or service provider. You are truly not understanding your value, or you're not willing to actually fulfill your value. So a lot of times this happens when you don't charge enough for your prices. And I have people ask me, well, how do I know what to charge? And I would have to say that that's one of the biggest questions I get as a business coach, of how do I charge more? How do I even start? Where do I start? And then very next thing people say to me is, but I don't want to lose clients. They're afraid. Or a lot of these clients have followed you for years and you haven't raised your prices because you feel like you have a commitment to them at this price, even though all your expenses have gone up and your experience has gone up at the same time. your ability and your functionality at the table has increased without a class because you've practiced and you become more efficient and more valuable, but you haven't raised your prices and you don't know how to do that. And the longer you operate out of that space where you know you should be charging more but you're afraid to, or you don't want to hurt people's feelings, the longer you stay in that space, the more burned out you become. And because it feels like when you were working for corporate America, give and give and give, and I
give and give,
and I don't get any more back. And how many of you would go to work for somebody and work harder or more efficiently at your job and not expect a raise? Wouldn't you go find a job that appreciated you?
You would think.
Yeah, and that's what we do to ourselves. We don't look at it that way. We look at it more in terms of the person we're thinking about. And so we feel bad that, we don't want to raise the rates on, this particular person or this particular or we know they can't come to us if we raise our prices, but at the same time, we're undervaluing ourselves to ourselves.
Yep.
And that is one of the beginning points of burnout. The other place is giving too much.
Giving too much. Respecting people's time is where my mind goes when you say that. Yeah.
It's really nice to give 5 or 10 extra minutes more.
I was notorious for that.
I know.
Absolutely notorious for that.
I'm so glad you changed your evil ways. But and I helped you in that. But when I teach people about going, because a lot of therapists are like, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. You know what? It is a big deal. And I'm going to put it down to math. So, Paige, let's say you have 15 clients you're working on in 1 week.
Okay.
And you go 15 minutes over on each one of those clients. Can you tell me how many more hours of massage you did per week without being paid?
A lot.
A lot. I have to get my calculator out to find that.
That's a lot.
But if you take that and you translate it into time, you're giving away 3.5 hours of massage a week. I think that's way too much. You're giving away at least 2 free massages a week. How many of you want to give away 2 free massages a week every week and not be paid?
Yeah, not great.
Okay, so while we don't necessarily process that in our brain, guess what our body does?
What?
It says, why am I so tired?
Mm-hmm.
I'm keeping to my schedule. I know that 15 clients is my perfect schedule without my body getting too tired. Why am I getting injured now? Why am I getting so tired? Because you're doing 17 hours of massage, not 15 for it. So that's one of the things that we talk about. That's the cost of going over on those sessions. And a couple of other things that I put into burnout is, when you go over on those sessions, if you're not accommodating for all of those sessions, that time, that extra time, you're going to start running into the next appointment. So you go 10 minutes over and then the next client has to wait 5 minutes. And then by the end of the day, if you've seen 5 people, you're running into the next person's appointment. You don't have time to rest yourself. You don't have time to eat. You don't have time to pee. You don't have time to get a drink of water. You are literally pushing yourself past what is a comfortable pace for you to run your business. And I know you've all done this out there. When I was doing 8 massages a day, I actually learned, I think this was the number one thing that made me quit. I had a gentleman come in and I booked my sessions on an hour and 15-minute schedule. So you had enough time to come in, get dressed, get a massage, get off my table and get out the door. And if I was even late 5 or 10 minutes, by the end of the day, I was 45 minutes late into my next appointment. And I had a gentleman wait for me. And this only happened once. I was extremely late this day. And this gentleman was waiting in a chair and I went out and I'm like, I am so sorry I'm late. And he goes, you should be. And I stayed here long enough to tell you that you should be. And he walked out the door.
Oh.
Why would you wait 45 minutes for your appointment?
You wouldn't?
No, I had a lot to learn. I did.
That was actually a really sweet moment for him to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing you didn't like it at the time, but that was actually really sweet that he stuck it out to tell you that.
Yeah, I think that's actually when I quit. And then I came back and changed some things. But, another thing that causes burnout is expecting too much from yourself. we all get stuck in this, but when you're self-employed, we really get stuck in this.
Yes, 100%.
It's hard not to, well, when you start out in business, you expect a ton from yourself. You give so much more than you make because it takes that amount of momentum and energy to start a business. We just don't know when we have to shut that off. When do we stop having to put that amount?
When do you recognize it's a well-greased engine and you can just let it go, let it run?
Well, when you contact me as your business coach.
Oh,
Just
stop
kidding.
it. Stop it.
I'm just kidding. Oh, over accommodating times. You mentioned this in your own business. That's another reason why we get burnout. When we train our clients that we are accommodating outside of our schedule, then all of a sudden everything starts to get outside of our schedule. You know, I watched this lady one time. She was actually a nail tech, and she worked down the hall from me at this one office that I worked at. And it always cracked me up because she would come in on Thursday. It was her day off. She would tell everybody Thursday was her day off. And she always worked a whole Thursday, but it was her day off. Because she got in the habit of booking people on her day off when she couldn't fit them in somewhere, that she filled up her day off. And she was telling herself it was her day off, but she never got a day off. And she came to me, she's like, I'm so tired, and I just don't understand why I'm so tired all the time. And I said, you need a day off? And she goes, I do. I have it off on Thursday. And I'm like, you're always here on Thursday. You don't have a day off. You are lying to yourself. And she just cried because she was. And then she had to figure out how to get out of that.
Yeah.
So over accommodating. And so, you know, we've talked about a lot of these, but it's amazing how we all get into these ruts, but we don't know how to get out of them. And then that's when I see people walk away from successful businesses, because on the outside it looks successful, but on the inside it is sucking them dry. And they don't know how to change it, so they walk away and quit. And we lose lots of really great hands in our industry because they don't know how to recreate.
Well, hi there, Amy here. I wanted to take a moment and talk to you about a business system I call Launch. After being a business coach for several years, I took what my clients consistently needed and created 3 classes that answer so many of the questions you are probably asking yourself all the time, like, hey, Amy, how do I raise my prices and earn more income? Or where do I find more clients quickly if I need them? Or how do I change my schedule to match my personal life better and move my clients around? Or how do I get more repeat clients? What is the secret to getting those clients to come to you week after week or month after month? We talk about that. Or better yet, how do I run my business better? Launch is the premier massage therapist business training program where I teach you the real secrets to running a successful and profitable business. This isn't a class about what an LLC versus a corporation is or how to pay your sales tax. That's not the kind of business class this is. This is the knowledge you have been looking for to build your business into something absolutely amazing. So this 10 CE hour program teaches you the 2 ways to get clients through your door fast, the stuff that I tell my coaching clients about how to increase the amount of clients coming through their door. And it also teaches you the 6 questions you need to start asking your clients today that help you create repeat clients. And last is the best class of all, and it's called Maximize Your Massage Business, where you learn how to understand your value, how to raise your prices, and grow your business into a streamlined machine that allows you to have the income that you dream of. It is the ultimate step-by-step process for creating referrals, repeat clients, and revenue. To learn more about the Launch Your Massage Business program, visit amybradleyradford.com/launch. Again, that's amybradleyradford.com/launch. See you in the program.
So Paige, I'm going to ask you some questions here in just a minute, okay? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So we're going to go down a list of things that you can do, and some of these are the same things that I tell people to do when they call me as a coach, like help me, I'm drowning, sort of a thing. And so the very first one I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to kind of turn it over to you because this will be your forte on energy exchange.
I would also like to call out, I don't think we've talked about this, so this is completely unscripted, so let's go. Let's see.
Number one, the first thing you have to do to get out of burnout, which is not in any book anywhere to help you with anything, is to acknowledge that it's happening.
Ooh, you gotta know there's a problem in order to fix the problem.
Well, you have to be willing to fix the problem too.
Yeah, you have to be willing to look at it.
You have to be willing to look at it. And you have to know this. It is fixable too. Especially since you're self-employed and you're a solopreneur, or you call the shots. You have to find the courage to do it.
Yeah, 100%.
You can fix this. And there will come a day 6 months down the road that you're going to wake up and you're going to go, I love doing massage again.
Yep.
Especially if you follow some of the things we're going to talk about, okay? Number one, when you're burned out, it's because your mind, body, and soul needs a break. You have pushed it way, way, way too far. Way too far. And Paige is much better at acknowledging this than me, because I will work myself into a corner and then go, why am I so tired? Because I love work. I do. But what Paige tells me to do is
Play. I am really, really good at setting boundaries with myself and playing. I've come a long way with this. I used to be like the classic like a workaholic, but I loved it. And it was really hard to take a step back and play and breathe. And I'm much better at playing now. I hate using the term self-care. It's very overused and kind of cliche and cheesy at this point. But I mean, really, you got to play. And I think it's truly, I wouldn't believe this 100%. It's when you play that you become more successful. And this is a really odd thing to say, I feel, and I am going to go on a little tangent. So bear with me, Amy.
Get going. I'm waiting.
So I was at a concert a couple weeks ago, and it was this concert was on my bucket list, and I had the time of my life. It was incredible. I was crying. I was happy. It was like all the feels. It was exactly what I wanted and needed, and I get done. And that night I was so tired, but something told me just write a little bit, just journal. And I'm like, but I want to go to sleep. And that little voice said, just write. And so as I was writing, I had this beautiful download that came to me about a business that I want to start and why it's important to me. And all these beautiful pieces just clicked into place. And why it happened is I took time to go play and get out of my head and be carefree. It's things like that happen a lot, and maybe not that drastic, because this is a whole business that will be coming that I'm sure you'll hear about in the next year, but that was not my intention of telling this story.
Paige will tell you everything she's not been
Yeah. But really the biggest piece is to go play. And I've shoved that down Amy's throat for a long time. And for the clients that I've coached and people I've talked to many, many times, that's the people I helped a lot, was they were workaholics and they loved it. That's the key though. Is a lot of these people, they love to be busy and then they get burnt out. That's another key piece. And it's taking time, as uncomfortable as it is, to take a step back and do one thing you like a week. Literally just a week. If you don't have that, take 15 minutes to go play with your dog today. Or 15 minutes to go play with your child. Or just go for a walk. Heaven forbid you just go for a walk outside for a little bit. But I am the queen of saying boundaries and playing are the keys of manifestation. I don't know. Truly.
It's called stopping. And I was raised by an entrepreneur. I was raised in a house where, our livelihood was self-employment. And so for me, it was 90% work, 10% play. And we played hard when we played. But there was that play. But I had to learn that play was important, because I can work. I can work until I am thoroughly unhappy and depressed, because I know how to work. That's like pounded into my brain.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make it healthy.
Well, it goes back to like that scarcity mindset and survival and fight or flight.
Totally. Especially when you are a new person running a business and it takes everything you have. So then it's going to continue to take everything you have, and it will always take. It's not true.
Yeah.
Set it down. Walk away from your business for a day. It's not going to fall apart.
It will be so much better. I'm not kidding. And you'll have more success and more clients if you can set it down and walk away.
Yes, and too often we don't think we can. Or what we learned in the beginning isn't what we have to keep doing, but we keep doing what we learned in the beginning because it made us successful. But do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We have to learn new things.
Yep.
New things. So, you know, I wanted Paige to pop in and talk about work and life flow balance and energy.
I love this. I actually have goosebumps as you say that. So for me, if y'all haven't noticed, that's me and Amy have very different takes on massage and life in general.
She's yin, I'm yang.
Yes, I thought you were saying I'm young. I thought that's what you were saying.
Oh, you're young, I'm old? Is that where this is going? Oh my gosh, that's like a Freudian slip of some sort.
I thought that's where that was going.
Shame on you, girl. Because it's true.
Amy has a couple decades on me, and that is just fine. She is the yin to my yang, and it's perfect. My take on where being burned out really starts from is the give and take you have with your clients. And so this is something that I feel needs to be taught for the beginning newbie massage therapists, is how do you deal with the energy vampires? And that's pretty well known and talked about, I think, when you become...
It's common term in our industry.
It's common terminology in our industry. We understand what vampire energy is, but I don't know if people really know how to not let their energy be sucked and how to go about that process. So for me, I actually think the first piece of eliminating burnout is recognizing, how do I keep my energy to me? And how do I not let the client steal energy from me? And it's never intentional. The client is never going to go, I want to suck on you. Like, they don't know they're doing it. But for you, you need to be very intentional of saying, I'm keeping my energy to me, because that is also very important. You don't want to give your energy off. We talk about like being negative, right? It's a similar concept. You don't want to be negative to them. You don't want to give your energy to them either. And while your energy, it's not toxic, but you're giving something that they don't want or need. But what's worse is when you take on their energy. Mm-hmm. And that's where it becomes a problem. And so it's learning, how do you kind of shield yourself in a sense? How do you not let that happen? But also, when it does happen, because it'll happen, how do you give the energy back to them? How do you release it and let it go? And my little woo-woo tip is you literally just set an intention and say, I release all of these energies that are not mine. And I ask that they be cleansed and purified on the way back, right? That's where me and Amy differ. I go a little woo-woo and she goes real businessy. But I think that's a really key piece. It's the day-to-day things. Because at the end of the day, if you're exhausted from that, great, eliminate that. And then you're not going to be burnt out the next day. I know I've been stuck in that. That's how I've learned this, is I've had those clients where I feel so depleted, or whatever it is I take on from them, and it really drags you down. And that's where I've learned this from, is because I had to learn through it, or else I literally would not have been able to continue to massage.
I think the best, yes, you approach it woo-woo and I approach it business, but the reality of it is we both approach the same thing because it's real.
We approach it in a different way.
Yes.
We have the same outcome. We approach it in a different way.
Yeah, because it exists. You can't be a massage therapist and put your hands on somebody and not be impacted, because you're touching.
It's an energy exchange.
It's an energy exchange.
That's what it is.
I call it like a battery. You can call it crystal battery, you can do it, but the reality of it is it happens.
Yeah.
And a massage therapist, or anyone who works with or in close proximity to somebody, has to acknowledge it and be aware of it, and be willing to do something about it. I talk about maintaining a state of neutrality, being neutral at the table, and how I can explain this for others to really new people into this, how they really identify with this, is I'll say, someone will come in and they'll have a headache or they're in back pain, and you want to do what? You want to fix them.
Yep.
Can you fix them? I don't like the word fix. Can you help them? You betcha, we can help you can I make all their pain go away?
No.
But if I don't, does that mean I'm less than? And you get people who get stuck in that where they try so hard that it literally is like pouring your energy
100%
into them, and then
Yes.
when they aren't better, it's like you just threw everything at them because you're trying to fix them. It's not your responsibility. Boy, that's a good podcast topic. Let's throw that one on there. Paige, write that down right now.
It's not your responsibility.
Not your responsibility.
That is a good one.
But because we want to please people or we want to help people. I mean, why did you become a massage therapist?
Ooh, actually, because I felt I needed to. I felt called to do it.
Yes.
I love to touch people.
I wanted to help people.
Yeah.
Well, what happens when you don't help them? You pour your life, soul, heart, energy into them trying to help them. And then you end up getting sucked dry. So there's that as well.
I think when I think of like massage phases you go through of like infant, adolescent, if you go through that, that's very much the child phase.
Yep.
Right? You're trying to fill that need. You're trying to make sure you can help them and you give them everything, and you want to make sure they like you and they come back to you, and it's this very need for affirming you. Anyways, there's all sorts of things, but then as you grow up and you mature in your massage business, you are okay to say, I did what I could in the time allotted. And if they want to come back to continue to receive help, great. And truly, you want to help them as much as you can, but at the end of the day, they need to come back to you. So yes, you give what you can, but it's okay to not fix them all the time because they'll keep coming back to you. I don't want that to get misconstrued in a negative way, but ultimately it's okay if you don't fix them in one go. And people know they aren't going to get fixed in one go when they receive a massage.
No. There's people that come in, and this is expectations, and this is what I talk about. This is one of the classes I teach of so somebody comes in and you find out what they want, and they're like, I just want, my back's been killing me for weeks. Can you make it all go away because I got to get on an airplane tomorrow? No. Well, that doesn't work for me. Okay. Are you going to try and meet that expectation, or are you going to adjust that expectation? We can probably drop your pain 4 points, but this is progressed to...
That's fair.
But as a new therapist, you try so hard and drain yourself trying. And as a seasoned therapist, you know what to expect from yourself as well.
I think it's the realistic expectations.
It is.
I think that's really what it is I know what I can give a client in a session. I know once I touch their back what I can or can't do.
Yeah.
And it's, at the end of the day, it comes down to me being okay with that. Because the client, I think we overthink what clients think a lot. Like a lot of the time. Because for me, I can be like, oh, that's not as good as it could have been. And the client gets off and they're like, that is the best massage you've ever given me. Kid you not, that happens quite often for me. And I was like, are you serious? They're like, no, really, that was the best you've done. I was like, cool, because I feel like I could have done so much more and I'm sad I didn't get to that. Well, guess what? They actually feel good. They don't know you could have done more potentially, right? They feel good.
That was actually a really brilliant look into the psyche of the new therapist, understanding their value, not understanding their worth, and the client perceiving it. Yep. I think that's like the first 15 years of your career sometimes right there. You not truly understand or having a way to gauge.
I'm going to interrupt you. I want to chime something in because it's coming to mind. When I was first massaging, I had a really sweet gig. I rented a room out from someone, but she paid me to work on her clients. So it was like twofold. So I ran my own clientele out of my room I rented, but I'd also take on her clientele as well when she needed it. And I've always done pain management, and I love to explain things to my clients. I love to say, this is what I found, and this is what we did, and do X, Y, and Z to help heal, like take baths, do X, Y, and Z. Like, that's what I loved to do with my clients back then. And I was talking to her about it, and the advice she gave me, she said, you don't need to tell them that their right shoulder didn't release. You don't need to tell them that this part did great, but this part didn't do as good. Your body wouldn't let me in. Because in my mind, I'm given like a recap, right? Like left shoulder released great, right shoulder wasn't as good. We made some progress. And to be honest, some of my clients I do that with. It's like very few. Like my fiance, of course, I'll do that with him because he wants to know. But truly, they don't need to know that. and you don't need to put it into their mind
Don't
that
put it in
something
their brain.
that something might not be right or something is bad. Like, and especially even terminology when they come in, they're like, I'm broken. You are not broken. I hate that terminology. I'm all about mindset. And I think that's terrible. So anytime a client says I'm broken, I say, no, you're not. There's room for improvement every time. And it's similar. It really is. It's, you don't need to tell them those things. What I will say is your shoulders were tight and we worked on them. They loosened up. You should be feeling better, which is true, right? That's very, very true. They don't need to know their left whatever didn't release 100%. They don't need to know that, right? They don't care to know that. And I took that piece still till this day. I think about that with a client. I'm like, they don't need a complete recap. They don't need that. Nor honestly do they really want that.
No.
Some might, but not really.
Let them feel their own feelings and let them be themselves.
They just had a great experience.
Don't
let them go.
Don't dash it.
Let
down
them
with
walk
cold water.
out. Let them walk out and enjoy the rest of their day.
But you know what, Paige? This again is another example of the learning that has to go in the beginning, all the things that you have to learn and how much effort and time you have to put into your business and how you have to form your own boundaries with your clients in order to make sure you don't get burned out from trying to do too much.
Yeah.
Because you had to learn how to not do too much in that situation. And I think we all have different scenarios like that, different ways of approaching it, that you have to learn how to not do too much.
Yep.
Because that is the expecting too much from yourself that causes some burnout.
That's just a random thing to throw in here too is it's recognizing what you're doing when you're doing too much. But what I mean by that is we've been talking about time.
Yeah.
Going over on time. But what I think should be addressed is people will do essential oils on every client and not charge more. They will do maybe lymphatic drainage or some skill that is in general you pay a lot more money for the same price. One thing I am guilty of is you can pay the exact same price for a relaxing massage versus a deep tissue or pain management massage, right? One has a lot more value, but you charge the same price. That's what I did. When I was very young, I charged the same price. It didn't matter if you wanted a relaxing massage, a deep tissue massage. It didn't matter. It was all the same price to me. And now that I've gotten older, I'm like, oh no.
That is not the same effort.
Oh no. I'm like, if I can make the same money doing a relaxing massage, give that to me every day. Because now I actually enjoy giving a few relaxing massages when back then I didn't. I think that's the other piece to address is you can be doing a lot of additional services that maybe you don't need to do. Or you could pay more for, right? Like if you're an actual aromatherapist, girl, pay an extra $10 for an aromatherapy session, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a lot, but there's something there that even if you're giving too many services, right, for the same price.
Well, because if you want to do the business math on that, honey, you're losing money.
You are losing money.
You are. And so I work with people that they're like, I've done the math. I'm doing 20 massages a week and I'm charging $80 an hour, but that's not what I'm getting because of what you just said. There's more going into it than they're actually putting down on paper and figuring. Yeah. You know, I worked with this client one time and she wasn't necessarily burned out, but she wanted to start saving for retirement. And she kind of was burned out because she couldn't figure out how to go forward anymore. But she knew she needed to make, an extra $1,000 a month to put away for retirement so she could have 15 more years and, whatever it was that she was doing. And so we actually sat down and broke down her business and I said, well, the easiest way you can do this is to start separating your services, figuring out what's a baseline for you, doing upsells, add-ons, here's a menu, whatever. And she goes, well, the problem is my basic massage has it all. And I'm charging $75.
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
Is they put more and more and more into it, but for whatever reason, never increase their value to match it.
I can almost hear some people listening going, well, I want this to be a special signature thing that I offer. And to that, I would counter and say, sure, have maybe one thing be that, right? When you get a massage from Amy, she's going to use her essential oils. Unintentional plug, she has her own essential oil line. It's truly incredible. That's part of the massage she offers is she's going to include her oil. So she's not charging more for that. That's part of what she offers, right? So there's a time and a place for it. But with her, when there were so many things she was offering for the same, like it was just part of it, that's where it's a problem, right? Like I loved one of the girls I've been seeing, she has this massive rice pack that she puts on your back to start. And I actually quite like that as not an add-on. It's just her own thing she loves to do, and it helps her with warming up the back. Like there's key little things that are okay to make you unique, but it's when you have add on and add on and add on, and this is your base price and you don't have anything else, that's when it's a problem.
Yeah, especially when you're stealing from yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Those things cost money.
Those things cost money. And if you're not charging for them, because yes, you're going to get my essential oils in that massage, which it does include the cost of those already.
Exactly. You've built it in.
I've built it in.
Amy does not charge $75 for an hour.
Ew.
No, she charges a good price, but she's built it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boundaries,
baby.
I know, but that's, I mean,
that should have been the title of this podcast, Amy's Boundaries.
I know, but
Just kidding.
but
It's all burnout.
But burnout makes you turn your head and go, yes, I am. What's she
Yeah.
going to tell me about this?
Yeah.
Well, but there's a lot of, like I said, it is a multifaceted problem.
What I want people to realize is, I want to go back to what you said, and I know we need to wrap this up, but what you said about people who have, or massage therapists, they have a full clientele and they get really booked out and they get really burnt out and then they leave because they don't know what to do.
Uh-huh.
And at that point, it's recognizing they stop because they don't know where to go, right? That's why they stop. And it truly is, it's where having a coach comes into play. And I'm not saying you have to go to Amy. This is like in general, any business you run, it's so, it helps to have a coach because you don't know what you don't know. And so if you are lost and you seek help with someone, then you'll be good and they'll give you guidance because that's the key thing. You don't know what you don't know. And you won't know until you ask for help.
Yes, and you don't need to recreate the wheel.
Don't recreate the dang wheel.
No, go find somebody who's been through it.
And honestly, it could be your friend that's a massage therapist that's been doing this for 10 years. Truly, it doesn't have to be a coach. I plug coaches, not even Amy. In general, I strongly believe they're necessary for a lot of things. But it doesn't have to be that. It could be your friend, whoever that's been a seasoned vet and has gone through this before, and what can they do to help you? That's fine too.
Or it's an outside look in.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can see things you can't.
Yeah.
But lucky for everybody listening today, I'm going to give you some of my coaching.
That is actually quite nice. The things Amy throws in here, I'm like, that's nice.
Well, that's because I'm nice. Sometimes too nice. Does that mean I burn out? No.
Because this fills our cup too.
You know what? Actually, this does fill my cup. Mm-hmm. Because my hope is what I have to say and what Paige has to say is going to help somebody improve their business and their life and make a difference. Truly make a difference. So there's two things that I'm going to just jump into. When I get someone who contacts me and they're trying to figure out how to do things differently, they're burnt out, they want to move forward, what's the next step, I don't know what to do, the whole 9 yards. The very first thing we do is we redesign their schedule, Paige.
Oh my God, yes.
I mean, you looked at me like,
yes.
how simple? Because here's the problem. 9 times out of 10, this person is somebody that has more commitments in their life now than they did when they started doing massage. Whatever those commitments are, marriage, children, other interests, it doesn't matter. But their life is bigger. And their schedule and how they run their business doesn't fit their life anymore. And I get a lot of people who say, I did a lot of evening and weekend appointments to get people, but I don't want to do evening and weekend appointments anymore. I have obligations, I have children, and now I need to be home. How do I shift my clientele to regular business hours instead of all of these evenings and weekends? And so there's always this challenge of how do we redesign your schedule so that it matches your life. So that's the very first thing I say. Put everything aside. Put all of your clients aside and everything you think you have obligations for, and tell me what you would like to do. And it's beautiful.
I love that. When I have done this, it turns out that I only want to work maybe 3 hours a day instead of 8. But magically, when you decide what you want, it'll work itself out.
Totally.
It will 100% work itself out.
Totally.
And if that means, guess what, you're raising your rates at a reasonable pace, right? We're not going to be...
Which is $5 a time, people. I'm just going to tell you that right now. With reasons behind that, go listen to the other podcast on understanding your value. Anyways, go ahead.
And if it means raising your rates, maybe losing a couple clients is fine, right? We've established you will get more. But maybe it does mean you work less hours and you make a little bit more. Like, you can arrange that. But that's what I found is when I do rearrange my schedule, because I have done this before, it is you prioritize what you want to prioritize and the rest falls into place.
It does. And it's interesting putting it to nuts and bolts. Let's say you want to move your people into daytime hours and it's those people who come at night, your evenings, that you can't accommodate anymore. And so when you start opening up morning hours and start deleting some evening hours, people rearrange themselves into your schedule, and some people are like, well, I'm going to have to go find someone else to work evenings. That's okay. I will miss you, and here's 2 referrals for you. And then you opened up the space to bring someone in the morning that can accommodate their schedule, and if you've increased your prices, then it can work. But until you create the space, until you're willing to change, nothing else changes. And that's the hard courage jump for people. But what's even more fun is when we start setting a schedule, we're setting that schedule around your personal life. Your personal life is taking precedence over your business life, which is a flip-flop for a lot of people at this stage of the game. Their personal life has accommodated their business because they've worked so hard to get it where it is that it's hard for them to kind of shift those gears. But when they give themselves permission to shift that and start designing their life. I mean, why do most people become self-employed? So they can take off whenever they want to, or that doesn't happen until you do something like this to control your time. So then we start creating a schedule that matches your life. And then I take it one step further, because there's always this underlying fear of, oh my gosh, if I make all these changes, I'm going to lose these clients. We will actually sit down and I'll say, which of these clients do you have? And they don't have to tell me their names, but I want them to write down the names of their clients and what their schedules are and where they can move to. So they have already pre-designed their schedule around their current clientele in a way that matches both that client's schedule and theirs. And it takes some thought. But when they sit down and think about it and they're like, oh, well, this client always has to come at 5 o'clock because that's what they've told me. And they sit down and ask them and they're like, no, I could come at 3. I mean, things start changing for you. So the first phase to burnout for me is, how are we going to redesign your life so it fits you better, so you feel free and you have that time to play that you talked about, Paige?
Yeah, and I want everybody listening to sit down and actually do this right now, right? Like, you don't have to have a coach to do this, right? In a coaching session with Amy, she will tell you this, but you're listening to right now. Sit down, and I actually call it scripting. It's a really big tool I use for manifesting. Is I script out, what life do I want to live? And since you are a business owner already, chances are you can actually make that happen. But you write out, what do you want your ideal day to look like? How many clients do you want to have? What do you want to do in your day? When do you want to do it? And honestly, as a business owner, you probably can do all those things. But let's say you want to make 20 more grand in a year. Great, write out what you want your day to look like, so then things can start to fall into place so you can actually get what you want. But for all of you listening, do it right now.
Yeah.
Literally.
Monday through Friday.
Sit down.
Do your personal life first.
Yeah, like, what's important to you?
And then put your business around it and see what it looks like.
Literally, I'll show you. I literally just did this the other day. I'm starting to do this like once a week because I'm just really excited about the life I want to live.
I'm excited for you, Paige.
It's evolved. I'm really good at manifesting my dream life. This is what I do.
Okay, I need a coaching session with you again.
No, I'm just kidding. But like, part of what it was is I woke up this morning and I felt like this, right? Like, I felt super motivated to start my day. I woke up, I took my dog for a walk. I came back, I went to the gym. I made myself a breakfast. I did X, Y, and Z. I worked from 11 to 2. I took a little break. I took a nap. I did actually write in a nap in my schedule. I'm not kidding. And then I did X, Y, and Z. But like, I write out what I want my morning to do for fun. And then I write, I actually want to work during this time because I like working. I actually want to work during this time frame. And then afterwards, I want to do this. And then guess what? In the evening, I want to have dinner with my little significant other, and I want to watch a show with him and relax. That's what I want my evenings to look like, right? And so for me, that's something I'm still working on, being able to do that, to have that flexibility to work only a few hours a day. That sounds lovely. But yeah, that's like a quick glimpse of what I actually do. It's so simple. Literally take less than 5 minutes and write it all down right now. What do you want it to be?
But again, you're controlling your life. You're controlling your schedule, and it's not controlling you.
You
And
have
you're
all
not-
the control.
You do. And I don't think business owners realize how much control they actually do have.
Yeah.
Their business controls them after a while, and they no longer have control. And gaining control starts with your schedule.
Yep.
So, good idea. Sit down right now. Figure it out. What do you really want to do? How many sessions do you have to do? Financially, what does that look like? Where are you going to put those people? How are you going to design your day? How are you going to design your life? Do you have commitments every Tuesday night for, your children's activities or whatever? Plan that in first and then plan around it. And I'm going to tell you that, I have 2 children, and as my children were growing and we were in different phases of life, I changed my schedule several times to match my family's needs first and let my clients fill in where they could after. Because if I was the other way around, I was miserable. I was running my guts out trying to make all my commitments work when really it was all about me just shifting things a little bit. Which kind of takes me to the next thing. And then I think we're going to round it up, kind of tie things together here and tell everybody adios for the day. But I love to teach people how to put flex days into their schedules.
This is what I wish someone would have told me. That was something I didn't do, and I really regret not doing that till this day.
Because what happens is this, and you all know this if you're listening. So you've got a full schedule. You've got every single appointment filled for 6 weeks, and you get sick. And you're out for a week. And you have 15 appointments that you either need to find time for or just skip or miss, or better yet, you missed out on the money because you didn't plan for it, but you don't have flex built into your schedule. And the reality of it is we all need flex built into our schedule. I tell people, don't fill every single appointment. Don't. Leave 1 or 2 as a hold every week, because you're going to fill them. But you're going to be able to maneuver clients around based on need, or you're going to be able to put that extra person in that has an emergency appointment, or if you have some children and your children are young and they're getting sick, or you need to have some flex time for, medical appointments or things, then don't book a whole day. And yes, that takes a little bit of pre-thought and planning in terms of money, the number of clients you work on, how you're charging, your value. It takes all of those pieces working together. But if you find yourself constantly canceling appointments because of family obligations or personal obligations, and you need more flex in your schedule, then build it in. Because that's another reason why people quit, is because they don't feel like they can actually manage their appointments, and they're constantly disappointing people to cancel and then not being able to get them back in for weeks.
Yeah, it's really rough. I actually lost a client over that. And people might be thinking, oh, one client, but that was really hard for me. She needed, and it was an emergency thing. I wasn't sick, but it was an emergency thing. And I couldn't get her in. And a couple months later, she had another emergency thing. And she wasn't like that kind of client. Like, she genuinely had things going on, and I couldn't get her in again. She didn't come back to me because I couldn't get her in. And I still actually feel a little bad years later, and I obviously need to let that go. But it's because I didn't have that flex day.
Yeah, the flex time, flex day, 1 flex hour. Don't pack your schedule completely full. Yes, that's what we wanted when we started out, but the reality of it is you need to have some flexibility later on. I work with people that book 5 days 1 week for the next, 5 days 1 week for the next, because they can flex that one day.
Yep.
Or not put anybody in it and have a day off and go to go play, or, oh crap, my car broke down and I need an extra $500, so I'm going to throw an appointment or 2 on my flex day. I mean, it becomes flexible for a lot of things, but I think we have to avoid burnout, we've got to be able to have some flexibility as well.
Yep.
Paige, this has been a great conversation about burnout, schedules,
This has been really
boundaries,
good.
energy. It's all the feels. It's all the things that massage therapists love.
It is.
I'm dangling crystals right now. Can you hear them? I'm
Stop
just
it.
kidding.
She's not a crystal person. I am curious though, you guys, if any of this is resonating and you actually want to chat with us, because we're very sociable human beings, you can go talk to us, right? Amy's big on Facebook. I'm big on Instagram. We'll put our social handles in the little show notes area. But we'd love to hear you.
Yeah, we'd love to hear what you think, and we'd love to hear about things that maybe you want an answer for, or if something we said became an answer for you.
Yeah. I think we should do like an Ask Amy Day.
Oh, that sounds like a blast.
I think we should. And so we'll compile a few more. But yeah, if you guys have any questions you want to ask her, just send it to either her or me. Yeah. And we'll compile them. And in one of the future ones, we'll do a little Ask Amy session. I think that'll be fun.
It will be fun.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you all for listening.
And thanks for coming today, Paige.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. For more information about classes, products, or coaching, go to amybradleyradford.com. And if you've liked what you've heard, please subscribe and leave us a review.